We are joined today with SecurityScorecard, an amazing AWS security partner, specifically Avesta Hojeti, who is the Chief Technology Officer. Avesta, are you on? Blink twice. There he is. Avesta, thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Brian, Margot, thanks for having me. My name is Avesta, Chief Technology Officer here at SecurityScorecard. Been doing software development and security ever since I opened my eyes. So very excited to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here with us. So SecurityScorecard as like a long time, deliverer of security ratings and continuous monitoring from the expanded kind of security perimeter. Can you tell us just a little bit about what it is a SecurityScorecard does? Because I just butchered that, but I want to hear your version of that, and then we can kind of go from there.
Absolutely. Historically, SecurityScorecard has been known as a rating company. Basically, we collect petabyte and petabyte of data on hourly basis, on daily basis from 20 plus million companies across the globe. This is anywhere from a company that might be a very small business all the way to a very, very large portion of Fortune 500 and 100 companies across the globe. Now, the amount of data that we have collected throughout the years could be used for different reasons. And one of those, as we described, is rating. But there is a completely new category that we have evolved into, which is known as supply chain detection and response, or SCDR, as well as third-party risk management, or TPRM. Both of these categories require what we refer to as fresh data and massive amount of data that has been collected very widely, but also very deeply from each organization. Some of the new offerings that we have, such as Max, specifically focuses on identifying vulnerabilities from thousands or millions of different vendors that could be providing services to other vendors. And as the effect of, snowball effect, if they're getting compromised, then their organization and other organizations will be compromised as well. The core of the platform is around risk and mitigation, where we are able to identify risk very rapidly, and we are able to mitigate those risks extremely fast.
And so do your customers lean in to use these services to help them with things like compliance, for example, like aligning to things like SOC or whatever standards that they're particularly interested in? Is that a use case that would be interested in?
Absolutely, it is, Margot. One of the core functionalities that the platform provides is either being a virtual SOC or integrate to existing SOC operations for any organization, where that individual is capable of receiving our threat intelligence data, but also they're able to trigger automated workflows in order for them to not only hold their compliance posture, but act as a prevention where a compliance issue could potentially happen way ahead of the time. So this by itself gives you that multiple different functionality, but you are not being reactive, but the core capability of the platform makes the SOC organization to be extremely proactive.
So I'm thinking that, the first thing that comes to mind, there are nowadays, not only do you have to worry about your own security posture, like the bits and bytes controls that you put in place, the process, procedures, governance, and everything else that comes together, but you also need to worry about how other organizations that are connected to yours, right? So it's not just my landscape, it's not just the APIs and connectivity that I have. API. So Margot, help me out. Be my technical. What is the acronym API? Application
programming interface.
Thank you. I'm clearly not the smartest person on this call.
It's a very long time since someone's asked me that. I think first year in college.
I know. I'm trying to go back to college as well. But the point is that it's not just even the API and the actual network connections to other organizations. But if a bad actor gets in through one of your vendors, they may be able to traverse those interconnections back into your infrastructure and then create some sort of lateral propagation, northwest, east-south traffic kind of thing that we should be worried about. So understanding the security posture of our vendors is equally as important as our own security controls. Is that the gist of it?
Yeah, Brian. I mean, there's multiple different angles that this could be covered in. Think about a software that you are utilizing for paying your employees. If this software is being hosted by another company and you're just utilizing this within your environment, what would happen if that company gets attacked by ransomware? It's Thursday afternoon. On Friday, you have to pay payroll. Now we have a lot of angry employees that are not getting paid because you didn't truly identify the risk that this vendor, being your payroll management, is introducing into your environment. Let's even go a step further. Consider that you are a large restaurant and you're required to receive packaging from one of your vendors. And if you don't have the packaging, clearly you cannot put the foods inside a package and either put them through drive-through or sell them. Now, if that vendor gets compromised on a Monday morning and their entire printing operation is down, you will not be able to receive your packages by Tuesday. And now that by itself is going to bring your entire supply chain down. Again, it's not only software. Yes, APIs, application programming interfaces that you described. It could be an open source library that has been introduced. It could be a virtual private network or a VPN that you're receiving a supplier. When we are talking about first-party risk, this is anything and everything from a physical device to a software to a service that you're potentially utilizing from first party, second party, or third party down the line.
Absolutely. And I've been a part of organizations that interconnected with other organizations. And the way that if I ever had to do any kind of assessment in the past, it was, here's the spreadsheet, fill out the spreadsheet and tell us, what do you have firewalls? Do you like secure identity? Do you have endpoint protection? Whatever that is. But like those static one-time attestations are not going to cover it, right? They're almost useless in a lot of cases because things change and it's just an attestation, right? And you guys go beyond that to say, hey, these are validations and these are dynamic with some of your offerings, correct?
You're totally right, Brian. What I refer to, these are the questionnaires that any vendor will either receive or they will send out. Imagine that you're receiving 200 questions that you have to answer. You either don't have the time, you will make mistakes, or the questionnaire is only being sent to you every 12 months. So annually receiving these questionnaires. From the day that you're reviewing these and you're answering them, and absolutely next 24 hours, a lot of things could change. Either your firewall policies have changed, your security team will increase or decrease in the headcounts, you're introducing a new application into your environment, so forth and so on. What you're doing here at SecurityScorecard is, instead of having this manual process, continuously we keep monitoring that vendor, and what we identify will be reported back to the user, so they truly get the level of risk at their fingertip. This doesn't require, obviously, it doesn't eliminate the questionnaire because that could be part of the compliance or the policies that any org has. But what it brings to the table is that continuous monitoring of the vendor and reporting back in regards to the security posture and what has changed in the past few hours.
I don't think I can let a whole show go by without mentioning generative AI. I mean, we have a swear jar for acronyms. We nearly should have one at this stage for generative AI as well. But everything you're saying, Avesta, all of this data, all of this information you have about this data, so these findings and metadata, etc., this surely must be a great AI capability, a great AI use case for your customers. What are you doing there?
Absolutely is, Margot. So first, let me touch one point here that we are utilizing AWS Bedrock extensively in order for us to be able to build AI-driven technologies that are complementary to the platform that we already have. You're right. Whenever there is massive amount of data, especially data with quality, the first thing that should come to mind is how can we utilize AI to either make new solutions or products from this data or answer certain questions. We have done this in the past few months at SecurityScorecard. For example, we have a new SecurityScorecard chatbot that enables you not only ask questions, but come up with the recommendations that is specifically related to the security issues that your organization is facing. In addition to that, a lot of the workflows that we have seen that has been manual workflows or semi-automated are slowly but surely getting automated by Gen AI. This is where you identify a new vulnerability from a vendor, we immediately go ahead and identify who the vendor and who the contact is from that specific vendor. We trigger contact information. We keep monitoring this. And all of this happens, again, behind the scene without any human interaction. So there's a Gen AI functionality that is capable of identifying the problem, reach out to the vendor, tell the vendor how to fix it, keep asking the vendor if the problem has been fixed. And once it's fixed, it will report back to the SOC team or to the user in order for them to make the next decision. Again, your point is absolutely fantastic. When there's high quality data, especially in security, there's a right opportunity for AI to be introduced and ask the right questions or build new applications.
So there's a question here from Leaderbud. It's quite a long question. It's across our board here, but he's essentially, or Leaderbud, they're essentially asking if a security scorecard is similar to those going further in third-party assessments by that third party, which is not necessarily seen or assessed usually.
It is, but we are going beyond that. So we all have heard about the first party, which is the immediate vendor that you're dealing with. You have heard about the second party, which could be the vendor of the vendor that you're dealing with. We are taking this a step further. We talk about the nth party, because it could be a vendor that is at the root of all of this problem. And if you are like SecurityScorecard, who has access to 20+ million entities, you should have the visibility into that nth party. What we are doing, we're trying to go what we refer to as reducing the blast radius. The blast radius will start from which party has introduced this vulnerability or could potentially put you at risk. The capability that SecurityScorecard brings in is 11 years of data that has been collected with highest quality. We continuously keep refreshing this data, and we also try to go as deep as possible while maintaining that wideness of the data collection that we have. So again, it's not only third party, it's nth party for us, and that's where the core capability comes in, as well as the addition of AI, which makes not only decision-making faster, but also creates a high level of efficiency.
So I've got a question about this. So say I'm a good CISO, and I work with I work with the compliance team, right? Like we are very integrated, and compliance says, okay, like CISO, not only do you need to secure your stuff, you need to make sure that anybody that connects to our network is also secure. I sign up for SecurityScorecard, so I understand the security posture of our vendors. Turns out our primary supplier, our most important partner, is wildly insecure. Like CEOs like, hey, we can't shut them off because they're business operations, but they're also insecure. I'm between a rock and a hard place. What do I do when I have these vendors that are connecting that are insecure? Where do I go from this, and how do I approach this?
First of all, kudos to you for choosing SecurityScorecard to be one of your partners for this big problem that you're describing. There's two issues here, Brian. Number one, vast majority of the CISOs or even procurement teams that I have dealt with cannot answer the following question. The question is, how many vendors do you have? So this is all about visibility. You truly need to know who your vendors are, and then you can go ahead and create the right buckets of which vendor is business critical to me. Could be every single one of them, or could be only 10% of those. Let's consider the scenario that you described. So you're a great CISO. The team has asked you to go ahead and identify these vendors, and we identified that one of the vendors that is extremely critical to your business is at a risk. There's a specific offering from SecurityScorecard by the name of Max. We announced this last year, and the capability that Max team gives you is that as soon as they identify that there's a vendor who is going to provide a high level of risk to your organization, they reach out to that vendor. We already have access to their ratings. We already know what security vulnerabilities they have ahead of time. Again, the data has been collected. And we work with that vendor to solve the problem as soon as possible in order to prevent any downtime for your organization. Let's go a level higher. For any chief executive officer, I refer to this as the CIA model. What they care about is the cost, innovation, and availability. The CISO problem that you described covers the first two. If there is a vendor that is going to cause you business continuity, the cost of your business goes up, your availability goes down, and this will have an impact on your user at the end of the day. What we do at SecurityScorecard via Max is making sure that we cover that cost and availability, where we are taking the liability way ahead of time from the CISO, and we work with that specific vendor to solve the problem, not only for that specific user that has requested, but for many other users who are utilizing the same vendor.
I mean, I think that's a really important point. Like, and just to re-emphasize it, you're actually taking on that complexity. You're managing that vendor for them. You're helping that customer, that AWS customer with SecurityScorecard, manage that risk and take them on that risk journey.